Hello and welcome to another episode of Movies That Make Us. I almost forgot for a second how we introduced this. I'm Jake.
I'm Tracy.
And I'm Val.
How are you guys?
Take 1 week off and all of a sudden I have no idea what we're doing. All right, good. How are you, Tracy?
Well, doing better than you, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
It's good to have
Last
the team back
week's
together.
It is good to have. It's always hard when one of us isn't there. It's always great to have everybody back together. Listening to the show last week, there was a lot of stuff that I wanted to chime in on that I couldn't. And so I kind of that was hard. So it's like, I don't like this, but that's all right. I love Guardians of the Galaxy, and it was fun listening to you guys talk about it for like the 10 minutes that you talked about it. So.
Listen, Zac Efron's fart bag took precedence. I mean, what are we going to do?
No, I get it. There's only like something like a fart bag only comes along every so often, and you've got to give it all the time you can.
You gotta use the fart bag.
Yeah, you can't just gloss over that. No, but it was a lot of fun to listen to. Just all sorts of stuff going on. But it's good to be back, and it's good to be going live again. Hopefully we've got people watching. We're always glad to have you guys here. And this week we're continuing Action Movie Month. But before we get into that, is there anything you guys want to talk about? Because I know I always try to get into the movie and then you guys have stuff you want to talk about. So,
Well, I think last week I was going to update everybody on Chris, who was on our show, and he is shooting. He is shooting in London.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's going to change anytime soon, but I'll keep poking at him and see what's going on. So
Jeff Goldblum said that they have a 109-page safety guide.
Wow.
109 pages of how to deal with COVID.
So I'll have a little bit of an insight because Wednesday I'm going to be on the set of a Hallmark Christmas movie. And so it's the first time that I will be on a set since COVID. And so maybe the following week I can give you guys a little insight about how, everything was handled. But I'm kind of nervous and excited for Wednesday.
You get a cameo.
Nice. So I know you probably can't talk about it, but
I can't.
I know, but I was just wondering if you could tell us what this one's about, a Hallmark Christmas movie. Because I don't know, they're always so surprising. And
they're always so surprising. And it's so weird because the two scenes that I'm going to be in on Wednesday, and I might get in trouble for saying this, but I'm going to be in a bakery. So crazy that a Christmas movie on Hallmark would take place in a bakery.
Oh, that's weird.
Do you get to play?
What?
Do you get to play yourself?
So I don't know yet what exactly I will be doing, but I do know that I need to bring all of my winter clothes. So it's 100 degrees outside. We'll thankfully be inside, but I've got to pull all of my winter sweaters and jackets and hats and scarves out, and show up. And so, exciting. I get to probably listen to Christmas music on Wednesday, Christmas in July.
Nice. This is the perfect week. I always feel like the week leading up to like July 25th is the week that you should really do Christmas in July. So this works out perfectly. This is the perfect week to do it.
Yeah.
So, that'll be fun. I don't know that dressing up in the winter wear and everything sounds like a lot of fun, but that's the magic of movies.
Yeah, I'm really just intrigued. You guys know me. I'm going to be just like sitting back and like watching all of like the technical things. I do know that they're not allowing very many people on set at one time. We are allowed to bring our own food in case we don't feel safe enough to eat their food. They did say all of the meals will be individually wrapped. And brought out like one at a time. Like it's not going to be how usually we do craft services on a movie, which is usually you kind of walk up like and get your own stuff. Yeah. So it's not going to be like that. We do all have to get our temperatures taken before we enter the area. So I like that idea, being on set with people that they're taking their temperatures every day. So
that'll be good.
That's really cool.
I think a lot of places not our state, but a lot of places are taking COVID pretty seriously, and they're trying to make sure that they're protecting people and keeping them safe. So that's like,
I just love how you're so dry about it. I mean, I feel like a lot of people are taking it seriously. Not Utah, but a lot of people are taking it seriously.
Any other places?
well, there's
Hey,
anyway.
at least we're not Florida.
Well, I
That's
mean,
true.
I feel like we're trying to be. I feel like we're
trying
like,
to be.
come on, we can do it. We can do it.
I don't want to win that contest. I'd rather
No.
just, let them
Yeah, I don't want
have
to
that.
either.
And
It's interesting because anyway, go ahead, Tracy.
in sad news, Tenet got postponed
Yes.
indefinitely.
I know, Tracy, I'm so sorry. Like a week after I tell you that I have an August screening, and then they're like,
no.
I mean, I respect it because, again, we
Totally.
talked about this last week. There are certain movies that need to be seen in a
Mhm.
theater, and I respect that they want to do that. But at the same time, like, I really want to see these movies.
Right.
Well,
Right.
I'm not totally surprised, just because when you've got California, which is a pretty large market, announcing that they're rolling back some things, including movie theaters being open. I mean, yeah, we've got them open here, but nobody really cares about the Utah market because we're not big. And
Right.
so they're more concerned about the larger markets. And as long as they're not open, and it's hard because you're not going to recoup the money on it, and you want to do that.
Yeah, Nolan's one of the few filmmakers out there who is pretty much a guaranteed box office draw. Especially if there's not been anything out. You know that movie's going to open huge.
Oh yeah.
So
Yep.
I understand it. It's just a bummer.
It is a bummer. It is, and I want to see it real bad. It looks really interesting, but we're just going to have to wait, because I know he's not going to let it go streaming. He wants it in the theater, and I think it needs to be like you guys mentioned last week, and like you said, Val. So it's a bummer, but it is what it is, unfortunately. And I imagine we're going to see more movies follow suit. Like, we may see Wonder Woman get pushed back even more. We may see, this may cause a domino effect where we see more movies get pushed back.
Dune is probably going to get pushed back, would be my guess.
Yeah.
That one's not slated till December, but
the original Dune is screening right now, or streaming right now, so you can go see it either in the theater or on your TV. It's streaming.
David Lynch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, but anyway, speaking of Hallmark movies that follow a formula, let's talk about Speed, that also follows a pretty good action movie formula. I watched it again for this episode. I usually try to watch the movies that we talk about before we record, and I hadn't seen Speed. Yeah. I want to, sound like I might know a little bit about anyway, but I hadn't seen Speed in a lot of years, and all I could remember was the bus part. Like, that's all everybody talks about the bus and the 50 miles an hour and everything else. There's a lot of movie even outside of the bus, and it's pretty action-packed from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to say, go ahead, Val.
No, you go ahead. Finish your thought.
So my question is this movie actually an alternate universe to Dumb and Dumber? Now, hear me out. Jeff Daniels plays a guy named Harry in both of them. So is this the same Harry in both movies, but just in alternate universes? This is my new theory. Probably not. Val, I'll let you go now.
Well, wait, you can't just do that.
The Jeff Daniels cinematic universe that we're talking about?
Yeah, the Jeff Daniels cinematic multiverse. He pops up as Harry in different movies. No, I just thought, because they're about the same time.
I'm never going to look at this movie the same way again.
I love Jeff Daniels. I think he's an incredible actor. I loved Dumb and Dumber so much as a kid that I watched it so many times that anytime I see Jeff Daniels, that's all I can think about is him as Harry in Dumb and Dumber. And it's hard for me to take him seriously in anything. But anyway, that's my problem. That's a me. So
I have a weird statistic that most people don't think about when they see or hear of the movie Speed. The month that Speed came out in theaters, the following month, a huge thing happened in women's haircuts, and everybody wanted all the women wanted bangs again. Like it was an unprecedented, like it was kind of the same thing that happened with Jennifer Aniston on Friends when she did the like shaggy haircut. Like it was kind of that phenomenon is everybody was like, okay, we're cutting our hair, we're cutting our bangs. And there was just so many bangs happening. That's why I kind of wore my bangs a little bit today. My bangs are a little long.
I like it.
But every time I watch that movie, I think to myself, oh my gosh, should I cut my bangs? The answer is no. Stop it, lady. Stop it. There are only a few people in the world that can do this. Zoe Deschanel can always have bangs. Sandra Bullock can like 80% have bangs, but not a lot of women will cut them and not regret it. So I'm just going to tell you now, if you go to watch this movie again, live vicariously, but don't get the scissors out.
So I got a haircut recently, and it's a little bit like the Keanu Reeves haircut in the.
Yeah, you're high and tight, man. You're high and tight.
I know it's. Thank you. I like it. It's a nice summer haircut. I think this was Sandra Bullock's first really her breakout role. It wasn't her first role. She was in other things before this, but this is kind of what put her on the map as a movie star. I mean,
well, in a lot of ways, Keanu Reeves as well. I mean, before this, he was he was either Bill and Ted, the dopey surfer dude. He was in Point Break, where he was the police officer surfer dude, or he was kind of the nice guy romantic lead. And this gave him kind of all the above, all put into one bundle.
Yeah, I think what it did is it showed the money, like what they were made out of. Like people that put money into films, producers actually saw that Sandra could actually hold a movie and make money. And so then she started getting bigger parts, because that's what they look for, is can they hold their own at the box office? Because it was Keanu, it was Sandra. And then of course it made me so sad because I forgot how much I love Dennis Hopper and I miss him so much. And I'm watching this movie and I'm just like sad the whole time because like I just miss Dennis Hopper being in new movies. He's so fantastic. But again, yes, they had him as a big name, but he wasn't the main character. Sandra and Keanu had to carry it, and they did it really well. I also think, Jake, you had mentioned, you know, a lot of people just think about the bus and speed and action, but I think what a lot of people forget about this film until they rewatch it is how detail-oriented this film is. Like, it really puts you, it plays games with your brain, you know, and I like that because it pulls at, ooh, did you pay attention to this? Did you pay attention to that? Did you see this? And you're like, ooh, like you find, it's one of those movies where you guys know, I've said this before, I find myself sitting forward in the seat. Like if I were to watch it again in the theater, I would sit forward because I'm like, ooh, give me more. Let me get closer. Let me see.
Yeah, I agree. And it does, it builds that intensity really, really well, and it does it in a really great way because it starts out with the elevator scene, right? And you've got the explosion and this intense sequence going on, and then it starts there and builds from that, and each thing that happens after that just builds more and more excitement and more tension. I was watching it, and toward the end, my wife and my daughter came in and were talking to me about something. And I was like, you guys just need to like go because I'm in the middle. Like, I can't just stop this right now because it was just.
Well, you can't drop below 50.
You can't drop below 50. You can't stop.
You gotta just keep going. But I just thought that was interesting because the elevator scene on its own was really great. And then to go from there and just go up.
Well, and in the original script, it was based on a script that was written by Akira Kurosawa. And the screenwriter Yost thought that there was a bomb on the train. He had never seen the film; he had just heard about it. So then they decided to do it on a bus. And when they pitched it to the studios, it was just the bus, and the studios wouldn't do it. I can't remember. I think it was Paramount that initially refused it. So then they took it over to Fox, who had done Die Hard, and Fox liked the idea, but they said, I don't think audiences are going to be okay just being on a bus. So then they had to rewrite the script to add in these other segments. But the thing I love about this movie is, so it came out in 94. I'm 19 years old. I'm going to film school for the first time. And I go see this movie and I was like, I need to go home and get my mom and take her to this movie because mom's going to love it. And she did. And my mom absolutely fell in love with Sandra Bullock. As all of America
did. She cut her bangs? Did she cut her bangs?
No, but but I remember going into class. I was taking a beginning filmmaking class, and we were working on VHS tape. And my professor said, everybody, if you want to know how films need to be edited, this is the movie you need to go see. And it's true. That movie is edited masterfully. I was rewatching it last night, and the way that they cut stuff is just fantastic. And the cinematography in almost every scene, the camera is moving through this film. There are very few shots where the camera is stable. So it really is giving this propulsion, this momentum throughout the entire film. We've got shots going down the elevator shaft. You've got elevators whizzing past up. You've got close-ups of the bomb exploding and the elevator dropping. The camera rarely stops in this film. And it's great because they are in these enclosed spaces, but he finds a way to get the camera moving around, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Really great.
It's true. It starts and it doesn't stop. It just, and I think you're right. The camera work plays a big role in that for sure. And really there's not a lot of like boring dialogue in the film. I mean, there's like the scene at the party after they get their medals, and that goes into the scene in the morning where he's getting his coffee, and then the bus explodes, and then it just goes from there. And there's no more like just sitting around chatting kind of dialogue. It's just go, 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 go.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting too, because Joss Whedon was brought in at the last minute to rewrite most of the dialogue, and they said about 90% of it was rewritten by him. Originally, it was more one-liners. It was more quippy.
Wait, more one-liners than what actually ended up in the film?
Yeah, they actually dropped quite a few. Yeah. They originally wanted Stephen Baldwin to play Jack, which no.
Pass on that.
But yeah, they brought Whedon in. He rewrote most of the dialogue. He came up with the pop quiz hot shot line, which is one of the most famous lines out of the film. And they made the other thing that they did too with the rewrite is they made Jack a more everyday character. They wanted to move a little bit away from the diehard. They felt like it was too diehard at times, and so he was just the guy who was trying to be polite and help everybody. Yeah.
Normally, I don't know that you can really say that anything is too diehard, but I get it. I get it.
I'm all like, is it die hard enough? Is usually
exactly. So, I think Keanu Reeves does a really good job in the film. I think this is this kind of propels him into roles like Neo in Matrix and then John Wick and things like that. I think this is kind of where he lives. This is his happy spot as far as acting goes. Right. I don't know that he's got a lot more range than this. Maybe he does, and we just haven't seen it. And I'm not trying to bag on Keanu Reeves.
A walk in the clouds? A walk in the clouds, man.
Okay, walk in the clouds.
Duke Kaboom.
Yeah, I mean, Duke Kaboom, like...
That's the best.
Wasn't he just a comedic version of, like, this character, though? Like, I don't know. I'm not saying anything negative about Keanu Reeves. It's just...
For all of the hate mail that we're going to get because of Keanu Reeves, go ahead and put Jake's name on it this time. Ouch.
And I know, like, being part of the nerd community, I get it. The guy's like a nerd god right now, and I totally understand. He's a great guy. Like, he's a totally awesome human being.
He took his mom to the Academy Awards.
Right, and none of that has anything to do with his acting ability.
That was his girlfriend.
Well, I think he took his mom.
I know.
Oh, okay.
No, his girlfriend is beautiful. His girlfriend's beautiful. Yeah. But that was like the big joke at the time.
I remember that.
I just like how he's unpredictable. He doesn't do what you think a person in his situation, in his stature would do. Like, everybody knows him and he rides the subway. all of these women go after him, and he picks the beautiful brain, that you just don't. And it just makes me like him even more. I do think he has more range. I just think that he does know what he's good at. But what's that movie him and Sandra were in? About the house that they both live in different times. I know it's like a chick flick and people don't Lake House. I know that doesn't get very good like critical acclaim, but I watch it every time it's on. Like if I'm just going past stuff and it's on, I'm going to watch it. I enjoy it. Them together is just comfortable to me. It's like home to me.
Great chemistry.
They do. They really do.
I agree.
And I like the fact too with Keanu is he knew even back in the day, he's so respectful of female fans. He always made sure that his hands were visible in every photo he ever took because he didn't want anybody accusing him of like doing the grope and stuff like that. And it's just I remember reading that when they were filming Bram Stoker's Dracula, that I think it was De Palma. Was it De Palma that did that one? I think it was De Palma.
Sure, that sounds right.
He was like berating Winona Ryder to try and like break her emotionally so she'd cry more on screen and encourage the other actors to jump in and help him do this. And Keanu Reeves refused, which I think is just great.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. Again, I'm not trying to I love
whatever,
Keanu
Jake.
Reeves,
You hate Keanu Reeves just to fess up to.
No, I love him. I just listen. Like through the whole movie, it was a lot of squinty eye, like angry, like I don't know, but it was good. It was still good, and it worked, and there was nothing wrong with it. It's just anyway.
If I could put my foot up to my mouth right now, I would do it.
I know. I'm trying to backtrack. I'm just not very good at it.
I mean, look, he's only really good at one thing, but he's really good at that one thing.
Oh, yeah. But to me, he's a lot like Tom Cruise. In the right role, I enjoy the heck out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I enjoy him in this movie. I enjoy him in the Matrix series. I like him, in Bill and Ted's. I think he's got some great stuff out there.
Right. I think he's going to do well. I think he's going to go far.
I think so too. Yeah.
You got a future in this business, kid.
It's funny though, because when this movie came out, I don't think people thought he was going to do well and go far.
Right.
I mean, I remember thinking, like Keanu Reeves and Bill and Ted's, and then this, and it's like I don't know, but he's going to really do a whole lot else, and he's really made a great career for himself, while at the same time being a decent human being, which is hard to do for some reason. It must be because nobody else does it.
He's had a hard go. I mean, his life over the past 10 years has not been like amazing. He's had a lot of heartache to deal with, and I don't think people know that. And, he's kind of kept to himself and dealt with it. And, it's just, I respect the man.
Yeah. I do too. So please don't send the emails to us because we love them. All of us, all three of us.
Can we talk about Speed 2?
I guess if you want to. We have to.
No.
Let's as long as we got Sandra Bullock, we'll be fine.
No. She was so nice. She was so nice to have thrown them that bone, but it still wasn't enough. It wasn't enough.
No, that one was not as good as Speed. Unfortunately.
I have to say I love Dennis Hopper's character in this movie because it kind of follows along that formula of having a villain that you're almost rooting for at some point during the movie. They kind of start giving you those clues and that background and why he's doing what he does. And that it's wrong. But at the same time, you're thinking, and I think Keanu Reeves' character felt this way too, is like, I have to fix this. At the same time, this guy is like mad, but like there's a decent guy down there somewhere. Like, I don't think, he wanted him to be a bad guy.
Yeah. Well, it would have been easier for him. What's that, Tracy?
I was saying he's a fairly nuanced villain, and it kind of reminds me of John Malkovich on In the Line of Fire. It's that same kind of, and they kind of came out the same time period. But having that kind of evil mastermind who's yet still relatable. He's not just pure evil for evil's sake.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. And I like that depth that the character has. And you can tell Keanu does really want him to just be a psychopath, that just, this is fun for him to have the bombs and kill the people. And, and he's really not, it's not that simple. There's a reason for what he's doing, and there's a reason behind it. And then to find out he's a former cop, spoilers if you haven't seen it, which, it's 26 years old. So you probably ought to go see it. Yeah. But it all becomes very interesting when you find out about him and that he worked on the bomb squad, and he was so good at this because he had fought it for so many years, and it made it much more interesting and kind of gave him a villain that was worthy of being the main villain in the film, instead of just a lot of villains in these movies don't have a lot of depth and a lot of substance. They're just bad guys with an accent or something like that.
Yeah. Well, and so you had this movie, and then you had In the Line of Fire, and then a year or two later you had The Rock, which was a similar movie in that you have, characters on both sides, that became villains because of very similar reasons. And also the same kind of energy of action movie. This was kind of the early 90s, Speed, The Rock, and In the Line of Fire, those sorts of movies. And of course, there was like at least 4 diehards in there somewhere in the early 90s.
Yeah. And but other than Speed, like Nick Cage was in all of them, because there was like Con Air and The Rock.
Yeah. Nick Cage will be in anything.
Well, that's true.
I mean, those happen to be good movies.
Yes.
But he'll still be in anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Which I don't know that I would really blame any actor in Hollywood who's like, yeah, if they're paying me a paycheck, I'll be in it. Like, work is work, and you got to get paid. You know what I'm saying? But
I mean, he got audited, so he kind of he has some taxes to pay. So I don't think you can be picky at that point.
You got 2 choices at that point: not be picky or leave the country like Wesley Snipes. It's really up to you. Those are kind of your 2 options. Or, well, I guess that's not fair. That's not fair, because Wesley Snipes wasn't picky. So anyway,
I think that we should have Wesley Snipes, Nick Cage, and there's got to be, who's the other other karate guy that kind of had the tax problems too. Like, we should have them all be in a movie together.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
It'd be the worst movie ever.
I don't know who the other guy is, but I'm ready. I'm just down with Nick Cage and Wesley Snipes in a karate movie. Like, that sounds great. They could even fight vampires. I think they've both done vampire movies at some point.
We could call it Fighting Las Vegas.
Fighting Las Vegas.
You got a green light picture. That's a moneymaker, kid. Send it to Netflix.
I'll cast it for you. How about Quibi?
I don't know. Maybe Amazon Prime. They'll do anything. I do. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so I'd like to just take a second. And when we talked about what's the new Chris Hemsworth movie on Netflix? I'm having a brain cramp. Extraction. And we talked about how the director was a stunt coordinator on the John Wick films and how that influenced him. Jan de Bont, as a director, he started off as a cinematographer and had some great films. He did Cujo. He did The Jewel of the Nile. Remember that one?
I love that movie.
Right? Die Hard, He did do Leonard Part 6, the Bill Cosby
classic.
classic.
A classic.
But he did
Watch it every week.
Red October.
Love that one.
Okay.
Flatliners.
Ooh,
Okay.
that's
Lethal
two very
Weapon
different movies.
Yeah. And Basic Instinct.
Oh.
So, and then he did Speed, Twister. Remember Twister?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speed 2, Cruise Control. The Haunting and Lara Croft Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life. So a very interesting filmography there.
I don't know, not a bad one on the list, really, when you think about it.
Well, Leonard Part 6, which I've actually never seen. I have heard.
I haven't either.
Stories, but I've never actually seen that one.
Let's not.
Yeah, let's not talk about that one.
But I think him being a cinematographer on some of these action films really helped him shape what he did with Speed. And I think we can all safely say Speed was his best film out of those that he's directed.
I mean, Hunt for Red October is.
Well, he's the cinematographer.
Cinematographer. Then yes, Speed. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
He directed Speed, Twister, Speed 2, The Haunting, and Lara Croft Tomb Raider.
Yeah, I mean, Twister was a good movie. I definitely enjoy that movie. I know a lot of people don't, but it's fun. But yes, I think Speed is definitely the best one.
It would be like Speed up here and then like Twister down here. Still a good movie, still a decent movie. And then like down here, like below my table would be everything else on that list. Speed 2, Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, Cradle of Life, Extended Edition, Super Gala. I don't know. It seemed like a really long title. I don't know. I was just throwing out more words. Listen, the whole title. Listen, Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, Cradle of Life. None of that makes sense. So we're just going to
throw a niner in there. Did I catch a niner in there?
The characters on the bus. There were some good characters on the bus that I enjoyed quite a bit, and they kind of added to the story, obviously, in some really great ways. I loved the character played by the actor who played Cameron. I thought that would be me on the bus in this situation.
It would totally be you. I concur.
Yeah.
I could totally
like when he's looking under the bus at the bomb and he's saying, tell him everything that I'm saying, and then he's like, "Oh, F me," and he's like, "Oh darn."
That's exact line. I was thinking, oh man, that's totally Jake.
Yep. But each of them brings something different. I love the guy who's a criminal who thinks that he's on the bus for him, so he gets up and he shoots the driver. And you feel bad for Helen, who jumps off the bus and then explodes and she dies. But she should have listened to him because he didn't. He is trying to save all of these people, and they're fighting against him at the beginning until they kind of earn his trust. And I imagine at the end, like when they're all getting on the bus, that like now they've got a Facebook group where they get together, like survivors of bus 2525, and like they just catch up and see how they're doing, like see how the families are. Like I imagine like they kept in touch after this.
I love that. I love
that. I want to know. I want to know what what they're doing now is what I want to know. Like that would be fun.
Like, did Sam survive? Did they get him to the hospital in time and he's still alive? The bus driver?
I want to see an Office version of like where they are now, like where they kind of shoot it like The Office with all the characters. I think that would be really funny.
I would be down. I'd watch that.
Yeah, the one guy, the darn guy, the skinny me, he's probably like, yeah, I never went back to Los Angeles after that. Never traveled again. Stayed home. Like,
he lives in
he's got like one of my favorite lines that he has, besides the "oh darn" part, is when they get to the airport. He's like, "Oh, the airport. I've already seen this." Like he's in the middle of this emergency. He's like, "I've already seen the airport. This is where I flew in." Like,
well, in the original script, he was supposed to be a real jerky lawyer, and he was going to die. But
they were going to kill Cameron, huh?
Kill Cameron originally, yeah.
I like this better, I think, than I would have liked the jerky lawyer that they kill off.
Yeah.
I think it works. And it works well because then you've got the relationship between him and Ortiz, or Gigantor, as they call him. Like, I mean, and then when they get across the bus and they're all hugging, and it's like, well, that's a great moment, you know? And I don't know that it would have worked any other way. So
yeah. Well, I like the fact too is they totally fake you out, because you think once they get off the bus that's going to be the end of the movie, and there's like 20, 25 minutes left to go.
Yeah. And like 10 of those is spent with just Keanu Reeves holding Sandra Bullock after the bus. Because I swear that whole part, like, he is just in that same position with her for way too long. And I'm like, is he stabilizing her? Is he afraid that she's like in your neck? Like, what's going on?
If you and Sandra Bullock were in this position together and you just went through this crazy duration and you got the chance to hold Sandra Bullock, like, you would hold her for as long as she let you that didn't feel creepy. And I think that's what was happening. I would. I'd hold her until I'd hold her until she tapped out. Okay, Val, like, you need to let go now.
This is long enough.
Well, I will fully
Sandra Bullock, especially. Me too. I loved Sandra Bullock after this movie. I had when I worked at the movie theater in high school, some Sandra Bullock movie came out. I can't remember which one, but we had a big cardboard cutout of her head that I brought home and kept in my room. And that's not creepy or weird. That's fine. Totally normal.
Wow. You just went there.
Well, it's fine. This isn't live or anything.
Like I worked at a video store and I took home the cardboard cutout of the Star Wars movies, but I never took life-size Sandra
It wasn't
Bullock.
life size. It was huge. It was like bigger than life size. So it wasn't like there was nothing weird about it. It was just Sandra Bullock. It's fine.
So when you took your glasses off,
push it a little bit to get through the door of the house, and his parents are like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Don't you worry about it." And he just kind of squished the edges and took it into his room.
And like as I got to my room, they looked at each other. Was that a cardboard? Don't work. Just leave it alone. And I was like, it's fine.
Better not to know.
But in all fairness, so that it sounds less weird, I had a ton of like old movie posters and things like that they let us take home after the movies were out of the theater and things like that. So it wasn't like I didn't have other movie stuff like that. So I had, of all things, a basketball poster up on my ceiling.
I love basketball. I quote that movie all the time. I love that movie so much. Anytime anybody asks me, so hi, how's it going? What have you been doing? Hanging out, playing Nintendo. And they're like, "You're playing Nintendo?" No, I'm not. Hanging out, playing Nintendo.
I love dropping old movie lines like that on people, and they're just like, "Oh, okay." Like when I walk by, I'm like, "Hey, what's up? Big gulps, huh?" And people are like, "What? Big gulp?" Never mind. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. When I worked at the movie theater, we still did film, and so we'd have to splice the film canisters together, the reels together, to make it one big thing that you put on the platter. And then we would have the trailers, and each trailer was its own little reel that you would splice on the front of the movie. And so I had a bunch of old trailers too that I would, once we were done running them, I'd bring them home, and that was kind of a cool thing that I don't know what I ever thought I was going to do with them, but I had them. And
do you still have them? Could you splice them all together into one big trailer?
I think I've got a couple somewhere.
That would be amazing. Find them.
We'd have to find a projector that would play them, and I don't know.
I'll get you one tomorrow. I got connections.
All right.
Make it happen, Jake.
I'll have to see if I can. I think I came across a couple of them, and I don't even know what ones they were, but I'd have to look and see. But I love that job just because of stuff like that we're probably not supposed to do, but we did anyway.
So I know we always talk about like what movies are you watching right now, or what shows are you streaming that you like. And I have to give like a warning. I watched probably the weirdest and worst movie that I've seen in a long time last night. And it's called It's called Rubber, and it's about a tire
I've heard about that.
that kills people.
I have heard about this movie. Yes.
At first, and it's a French film made in the United States in English, and they made it for Cannes. And it seems like at the beginning you're thinking, okay, no.
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 Don't do it. Yeah, don't do it.
So don't do this.
Yeah, don't watch Rubber. I'm just because we were talking about speed and like the tires on the bus, and then so I thought, yeah, don't watch Rubber. Don't rent it. Don't watch it if it's just on or somebody says, "Hey," say no. Just walk away.
Just say no. Just say no.
Just
say no, kids.
Yeah.
Say no to Rubber. I mean, the movie. Like, anyway.
I could make a joke about
be safe out there. Just be safe out there. That's all I'm saying. Avoid the movie Rubber and then be safe otherwise. All right.
I keep watching Jake put his foot in his mouth all day.
Yeah, I was
talking about. This episode has been free. I have not even once come close.
Hey Josh, how's it going?
Hey Josh.
Hello,
we love
sir.
Dennis Hopper too. So I don't know that I have anything that would top Rubber as far as anything that I'm watching right now. No.
Do you have anything good? Are you guys watching anything good that we should pass along to peeps?
I've been busy with work stuff, so not a whole lot for me. Just some like Netflix stuff, but nothing exciting. Although I do have the single worst movie I have ever seen in my life. Nice Girls Don't Explode.
I think you've talked about this one before on the show.
Mom does not want her to have any kind of physical relationships with boys.
Yeah.
Follows around with plastic explosives and other incendiary devices, and convinces her that if she thinks about, talks to, does anything with a boy, then on fire.
I know that we've talked about this before because I don't know where else I would have talked about this with anybody.
There's a lot of exploding in both of our movies because that's the tire would like vibrate as it looked at something and then their head would explode.
Yeah.
Now, I've heard stories. Now I got to check this out.
No. I mean, yeah, you would probably find it hilarious because it's so bad.
That's
yeah.
They've got to be bad. They're good.
Yeah, it's not quite there. It's a good idea. Basically, the movie is based on like that every movie that we like has something in it that is unexplainable. So let's talk about Speed for a minute. Like, is there a component of Speed that it is the way it is just because? Yes.
The bus jump. We haven't talked about the bus jump yet.
Okay.
No, that was totally plausible. That would totally work out that way.
Well, so the cool thing. Do you guys know the story about the bus jump? How they pulled it off?
No.
Mm-mm.
So they had very limited CGI. This is early 90s. So there was a little bit, but not much. And what they did is they stripped the bus down. They took everything out that they could and made it as light as possible. And they filmed the bus going over a ramp. And if you watch in the movie, if you pause it at the right moment, you can actually see the wooden ramp that they built to give the bus some height. Well, they had to build a new harness system for the bus driver because they were afraid it would compress his spine or break his back. And so he's completely in a harness floating above the seat. He's like in this little rubber ribbon getup, this harness to keep him from actually hitting anything. And the first time that they tried this, he did the jump wrong and they totaled the bus, completely ruined. And they didn't tell the studio. So then they had to all night and strip down another bus and shoot it. And they thought that it would go about 20 feet. It went like 70 feet. And it actually hit one of the cameras. It landed on top of one of the, and so it actually did fly. It didn't go, as big as the freeway. And well, when they originally filmed it, they realized the freeway looked too small in scale, so they actually made it look like it was 177 feet instead of 50 feet. And then actuality, the bus flew for half a second, but in the movie they make it look like it flew for 11 seconds, and that's some good editing.
Yeah. I think for me, the one thing in this movie that just isn't explained very well, why was Sandra Bullock, why was Annie at the last scene where Dennis Hopper could even kidnap her? Like, hey, we got to go make this drop real quick. You want to come hang out? Like, just chill. Like, why didn't she just why wouldn't they send her someplace safe? Why would they bring her to the drop where they're going to drop the money and then capture the guy and probably shoot him? Like,
right?
I didn't understand that. And they don't explain it in the movie. She's
Keanu shared this intense moment and they just needed to be with each other.
No, and I get she needed to be there, but they don't give any good reason why she should be there. Right. She should have been home. And he should have been like, I had to kill the guy because he ended up, outsmarting us again. And I don't know. And then they could have had a relationship based on something that wasn't an intense experience or sex. They could have had a real actual relationship.
What? Shut your mouth. That is no fun at all.
Sure.
I don't make any of my relationships based on anything real.
Ooh.
And that's that's a personal choice that if it makes you happy, Val.
We must experience something traumatic or we will not date.
I like that. That's some good ground rules.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's somebody out there like that, but it's not me.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
I was reenacting the jump with my Darth Vader car.
Ooh.
Got a Darth Vader
I wonder what car you were using. I watched you reenact the jump. It was pretty good.
It was pretty sweet. That's a cool car.
It's my toys. I just like to play with my toys.
I like that. So, but yeah, I even remember the Mythbusters episode where they were trying to figure out if the bus would actually jump.
Yeah. And did they figure out that it wouldn't?
It wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like I said, it only flew for a half a second, and that was after they stripped everything out.
Yeah. Yeah. I like Mythbusters too. I enjoy it, and it's fun to see how they work it out. I love the Titanic episode where they figure out that they're, that James Cameron was actually right, that there wasn't really room for him on the door. It wouldn't have floated, all of that.
Right.
That was pretty good. But I don't necessarily want all of my movies ruined and think oh, well, that would never work.
Right.
It's interesting to see the science behind it and stuff. That's way interesting. But I also, I'm going to see a movie, so I know that they're faking it, At least I hope so.
One, to me, this is I enjoyed the Fast and the Furious and Hobbs and Shaw, but there are so many points in those movies where you're it almost takes you out of the movie because it's so over the top. And this one is so grounded in realism for so much of it. By the time you hit that 50-foot jump, you're whoa, instead of that would never happen.
Yeah, like my mom in the Die Hard movie where he jumps the big rig over the broken freeway, and she's like, that can't happen in real life. And I look over and I'm like, this is Die Hard. None of this.
Yeah. None of this is going to happen in real life, hopefully.
He can't slide down that whole broken freeway and still not have a soiled white shirt. And I said, yes, he can. It's Die Hard. Nobody gets dirty in Die Hard.
I remember I saw one of the Die Hards in the theater, the one with his son.
Mm-hmm.
And he jumps on the back of a jet that's going down into the freeway overpass. And after the movie ended, the guy who sat in front of us, and he's like, well, they lost me at that point. That was just lame. And I'm like, that was the moment that was too much for you? Okay.
Well, but you're right though, Tracy. This movie, it is a little bit more grounded in a lot of ways. I mean, obviously, in a lot of ways, it's totally not. But when he's looking at the crane and they're like, "Oh, is that going to hold the elevator?" He's like, "Oh yeah, it should hold it." I'm like, "There's no way that crane would hold it," and then it didn't, and I was so happy. I mean, scared for the elevator people, but happy. Like, I love that he just
was
eyeballs
right.
it. He just looks at it, he's like, how much do you think it weighs? Yeah, it'll hold it. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Let's just hook it on there. It'll be fine.
So what do we give it, peeps? What do we give this movie, this grounded adventure?
This grounded adventure. Yeah. Tracy, what do you rank this one?
This one to me it holds up remarkably well. This is I haven't seen this in probably 10 or 15 years and had a blast with it last night. Little less than 2 hours, goes by super fast, tight action, good
Did you say it's
score.
speedy?
It is. It's
Goes
speedy
by
right along. To me, this is one of the, and I still remember my film professor saying, if you want to see how good editing on action is done, this is the movie, and it still holds true. It's rewatchable. It holds up well. I'm giving this one a solid A.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
All
right. I give it a solid B. I give it a solid B. I think it's super entertaining. I definitely I love the concept. I love the movie. The editing is great. The acting is fun. I think that I probably wouldn't have watched it this year if it wasn't our homework, if we weren't talking about it. But I would definitely, would recommend this movie to people that haven't seen it. Like if somebody's like, "Oh, I've never seen Speed. Should I see it?" I would totally say yes. You need to see it. If it came out on the big screen again in theaters, like all these movies are, I would probably actually go see it in the theater. But it's not one that I'm like, "Oh, you know what I really need to watch tonight is Speed." You know, if it's on, if I'm clicking through the channels and it's there, I would stop and watch it. But it's not one that I would go seek out to watch. So I can't give it an A.
Yeah, I'm going to go right in the middle of the two of you and go with a B+. I think it was more fun than I thought it was going to be. I haven't seen it in a lot of years, and so I'm probably in the same boat, Val, that I wouldn't seek this out to watch it, but we're doing it for homework, and I remember thinking it was fun when I watched it years ago. And I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I was afraid it was going to be like other 90s action movies that probably don't hold up so well. I mean, I don't want to point fingers, but something like Cliffhanger, where, you know, it just wasn't even good to begin with. But Speed is not
come on. Come on.
Remember
which Over the Top?
Ah.
Yes, I remember Over the Top. The arm wrestling
Action Hero.
Oh, wow. Yes.
All winners for sure.
Yeah.
But this is definitely in a league above all of those movies. But so I would say it was a B+. I agree. Anybody who hasn't seen it should probably see it if you like good action movies. And I think it holds up.
Josh wants to know what we think about Speed 2 Cruise Control.
Listen,
I give it a solid ew. Ew.
I saw it once with my mom, and that was haven't seen it since. No desire to.
It's like the really worst rendition of Poseidon ever.
Yeah.
It's really, really sad because I enjoy a good pun. And if you can get a good pun into the title of a movie, I am so there. And then this just wasn't at all good. So
I feel like it needed to be Top Gun 2.5. Like if you're going to be a pun movie on something, like go all the way with making fun of it. Obviously they couldn't because they're trying to make a new franchise, but like you've got to get a bigger name and a better script if you're going to do that.
Yeah.
He was nominated for worst picture, worst director, and worst screenplay at the Golden Raspberries. The trifecta.
The Razzies.
The trifecta of crap. You know, if you're gonna be bad, go all out and be really, really bad. So
it's the fart bag of Speed movies.
The fart bag of Speed movies. Yep, I would agree with that. And Josh, if you enjoyed Speed 2, I don't know, you haven't commented on there, but that's great. There's, you know,
I'm not even sorry about what I said about it.
Fair.
No, we're not going to apologize because we're right, but we're glad you enjoy it. Like everybody should enjoy what they enjoy. All right.
Josh, I'll send you a list of 5 other movies you should watch instead of that movie.
Will Rubber be on the list?
No.
Which would you rather watch, Speed 2 or Rubber?
Oh. Oh. I don't. Oh.
Jake, I just
don't.
gave her a Kobayashi Maru.
Yeah. No
It's the
desire to see it,
unwinnable
Josh.
situation.
Yeah, you can't win on this one.
No, you can't. It's horrible.
The only way to win
I'd
is
rather
to break
tell
the
you
rules.
something about me that I've never told anyone in the
Yeah.
world. Like I would rather give you like my worst secret ever than to watch either of those movies.
Nice.
I'm not.
All right.
I'm not going to, but I would rather.
But you'd rather do
The only
that.
thing you do with the Kobayashi Maru situation is kirk it, and the way you kirk it is by just doing your own things. So if he says this movie or this movie, then you say I'm not going to watch a movie at all. I'll never watch movies again if that's my choice. So something like that.
I don't know if I could do that. If you said I could never watch movies again unless I watched one of these, I would definitely. I'd probably watch Speed 2.
Yeah, I mean at least it has Sandra Bullock in it,
right?
So there's that. All right. Well, that is all the time we have tonight. On that note, but we thank you guys for watching, and we thank you for listening. You can check us out on YouTube. We really would love to have you go there, like and subscribe this to our channel, like this video, share it with others. You can follow us on Facebook. We're live every Monday, at least for the foreseeable future, of that and interacting. And you can send us email to podcast@moviesthatmakeus.com. And you can also follow us in all the places: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We're all over the place.
I'm excited about next week's movie. Can we tell them next week's movie?
Yes, we should totally tell them. We are watching Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, right? I get it backwards all the time. I forget which one's Hidden Dragon.
Crouching Dragon, Hidden Tiger.
Yeah, I don't remember it. But it's a movie that's got subtitles, so I'm all in. And a lot of action.
If you haven't seen it, watch it. The book is also amazing. So
I have not read the book.
There you
go. Yep.
It's probably better than the movie because books often are.
No, the movie is so visually amazing.
Yeah. Yep. So that'll be a fun one to talk about next week. If you haven't seen it, we want you to watch it and then come back and talk with us about it. And we'd love to hear what you thought about it. And other than that, we won't see you at the movies.
Bye.
Bye.